evening, everyone. Thank you very much for attending RYTMO's 11th Annual Film and Television Summit. We're very honored that you decided to spend part of your Saturday with us. The Film and Television Summit was originally created by Cindy Bedell Slaughter, who was in the music industry as a music publisher with Heavy Hitters Music Publishing. Heavy Hitters was very involved with licensing music for film, television, and advertising. Unfortunately, Cindy passed away many, many years ago, but we want to keep her legacy alive through our summits that we're going to start doing. We definitely want to thank Studio 770 for hosting us today. And so we get with our program. My name is Mike Anderson. I am the co-founder and president of the board and executive director of RYTMO. And what we will do today, we have our first three set of guests that will be speaking about their careers and how they got going. And I will let them introduce themselves and talk a little bit about some of the things that they have done in the music industry. Definitely, if you are looking to get into the music industry, these are the people you need to know. So you definitely ask questions when we have that time around, because you want to talk to these guys that have been very successful in what they do. We have Adonis. Shakeh? Shakeh, I got it. Okay.
Right.
And Melinda?
Mimi.
Okay. So Adonis, why don't you go ahead and start us off?
So my name is Adonis Tsilimparis. I am a music supervisor and composer, and I've been working in sync licensing for a very, very long time. I actually got my start through Cindy, whom I met in New York many years ago, and I got one of my first placements in film and television through her. So I've been doing this for a long time, working in music for films and television, advertising, mostly in that space, advertising as well. But now I work a lot with my friend Mark Roos over here. We have a company called Cutting Room Music. We do a lot of music for, again, films and television, advertising, whatever, anything it spans out into. So I've been mostly in that space. Mark has been doing a lot of the composing work. I've been doing a lot of the supervision work, which we can go into detail later about sync licensing and what all of that is. So,
Hi, everybody. I'm Mimi Vitale. I'm a professional singer. I started off, my mom was a professional singer, so basically since I was about 5, she would take me along to sessions with her all over Los Angeles. And whenever they needed a kid, she'd be like, here, take my daughter. And so over the years, I just developed a love for singing, performing, dancing. I did a lot of musical theater in school. I studied in England at a school called Guildford School of Acting and Musical Theater. That's where I got my bachelor's. I chose theater over singing because back then, I'm not say exactly when that was, but there was very few choices. Now you can study pop and you can, colleges are a lot more broad in their programs. But back then it was like you had to study classical or jazz. And then I was like, well, I'm more of a performer. I guess I'll do musical theater. I don't really like all those songs and all that, but whatever. So that was what I studied. I did end up doing some theater. And let's see. My first big job was at Disneyland Park as one of the characters in New Orleans Square. And eventually I was just taking on a lot of work and I got a vocal injury. I stopped singing for almost 8 years, I would say. So I never really knew if that was gonna be my path. But I did make a full recovery, and I eventually ended up in something called Piano Bar at a place called Howl at the Moon. And I was like, I can barely play and sing at the same time, but I'll try. My mom gave me lessons for about 4 years when I was a kid. So that was a really good experience for me because I learned how to address a crowd while playing piano, while singing, learned multiple instruments. And then I was like, okay, but I still really want to be a singer. So over time with COVID and everything, I just got into doing more corporate events. So mostly now I get hired to sing at corporate parties, restaurants, hotels. I've done guest contracts on cruise ships. And I guess some of my credits over time has been singing at venues like the Kodak Theater, Ford Amphitheater. I've also continued to do some session work. I've worked with Shakeh and Mark. I did some backgrounds for Ellen DeGeneres show. So it really goes all over the place for me. I just pretty much wherever I can sing, wherever I get hired. But now I'm a little bit more particular because, at some point you gotta, be confident and guide your ship to what you want to do and what's right for you. So, yeah.
So my name is Shakeh Herbekian, and I probably had, from the 90s, 2000s, and whatever, had a career as far as being an artist. So I was a person that would throw the guitar in the back of the car and travel from San Diego to Seattle. I probably did like 50 Borders books of music. I did colleges. I did events. I did all kinds of different things. And that was my path, was as an artist. And then COVID hit, some other things happened, and all of a sudden I learned about the sync world, right? And so I'm sitting there going, okay, let me get this straight. So you mean I can write the song, produce the song, license it for somebody to use in their movie or use in an ad or use in whatever, and then I get something up front, something on the back end, and then if it's non-exclusive, I can go back out and do it again? And I'm like, hey, man, I am in. But the problem was, because the best person to do sync would be somebody that's, very contemporary, pop, that kind of thing. And I go, well, that's not me. I can't do that. But I can do retro Christmas songs until the cows come home. So I made that my specialty that I concentrated on mostly. And at this point, I started making calls in October of 2020. I've got over 30 movies, over 70 placements. Most of that I have done myself, and I'm more than happy to share how I've done that with you guys down the line. But I just find that right now it's a very challenging time for all of us. But I believe that there are ways to get through. And like I said, you just got to do it. And I just got something with one song that I didn't even see coming. So whatever else we're going to talk about, the point is, maybe it's not easy out there, but if you love what you do and you work hard at what you do, you will get it done.
Great, thank you. Because you guys have done so much work in the field, what did you guys do from such as internships to any type of education to get into your career? As we know, a lot of times it is finding internships because there's really no type of education out there for musicians.
I mean, I didn't do any, for me, I didn't do any internships, although that is a good route nowadays, but I didn't do that. I came from a different route. So I was playing in bands, and then I met a guy who was actually doing music for advertisements, and then I just fell into it because of folks whom I met. But that being said, internship is like a very smart way. I wish I had done that. So if you can get an internship at a label or at a sync licensing house or for a music publisher. So an internship is a great way because then you're in the door and then you start to meet folks. So I wish I had done that, but I didn't. So, but yeah.
Oh boy, yes. I did an internship at Rock Mafia. I worked as a client service girl at the record plant. I did, when I was younger, just try to get into different spaces. I don't know if it necessarily didn't really help me with my singing capability. It helped me with the environment and what happens and goes on in those spaces. But as far as training, I got my BFA in musical theater, and I was always seeking out mentors, whether it was in singing, acting, and I would say now I wish all of the, gurus that you have online, there's some really good ones. I wish they were out when I was younger trying to learn how to sing. So my advice would be, if there's something you specifically want to work on, it's good to just kind of see what teachers are out there putting out content. And if you're self-disciplined at all, which I struggle with, that's a great way to learn.
So I'm kind of a unicorn because, like I said, I came up as an artist, had no idea about the business until COVID. That's when I took a class. And then when I got that, I said, okay, fine. So I would say I didn't do any internships, but my instructor, Michelle Weiss-Maslin, she really gave me the truth. So here's the best advice I can give to you guys is, first of all, you want to learn as much as you can about both sides of the business, not just the creative, but the business side. And if you get to the point where you can, like, because it's not rocket science, right? You're all smart enough to do this. But if you learn how contracts work and things like that, and then you can get an internship with a sync agency, or you can get an internship with a label. But the more you know, the better off you are. And also the more personally that you can personally control. Like I said, you know, I've been able to make these things happen, and it's hard work, but get yourself out there, go to events. Like right now, you know, I've met a couple people are going to meet me. You never know where anything is going to come from. So you always want to put yourself out there, and don't be afraid to ask, because you'd be amazed at how much people want to help you once they know that you genuinely care. Because that's most of what I do is I make cold calls. I'm calling directors and producers and people all day long. And when I can come in and I can say, oh, I saw you were doing this, you were doing this. I love this. I think maybe I might have something for this. Be your own advocate. And like I said, you know, mentorships are great, but always be the person in the room that has the questions. Always be the person in the room who's willing they're willing to learn.
Yeah. And also, let me add also, yes, internships is great because you will learn all of like the business side of it while you're there. They will show you how everything works, all the admin stuff. But to get work and to get yourself out there, and Shakeh and I know this, the power of networking is, you know, absolutely important. So you have to go to events as much as you can. Go to like film festivals, go to any industry events, and just, you know, schmooze and meet folks. That's how you get work. Mark and I know that I got a call once a few years ago from a guy who wanted me to do an album for ESPN, and I met him a few years ago. I didn't even remember who he was. I met him like at some party like years before in New York, and so that just shows you, you know, so it does pay off. You know, if you meet somebody, they may call you in 3 years. So.
And I want to tell one story about one of my best networking success stories. So, like I said, I do a lot of cold calls. And when you have to call like England and stuff, you've got to be up really, really, you know, really early and do all these things. So I emailed them about this Christmas movie, this company. And first of all, you've got like, I can't emphasize enough, dotting your I's and crossing your T's. So this lady's name is spelled Monika, right? And so I made sure I had her name spelled right. I said, I see you're doing this movie. I've got some original Christmas songs, etc. And one of the things she said to me later on when we did a Zoom together is, you're one of the few people that spelled my name correctly, that came in there with knowledge about what was going on. So she and I had a Zoom. And from that conversation, she was like, they used my stuff. I've been in like 2 or 3 of their Christmas movies. But here's another good story is they also had, she said, I have a period piece. And it's I want a very serious song. I want something about, you know, death and lost love and tragedy. She says, and I think I want you to sing it because I have a lot of gravitas in my voice. So for the Christmas stuff, I don't sing most of those. But I said, sure, no problem. So she got me the script. I reread the Frankenstein book. I did the song. I knew the song was perfect. I said, okay, I got it. So I went into my producer and I said, okay, let's, you know, it was about 10:30 in the morning. My voice is still rough, but I ran through it because that's what you usually do. You run through it once or twice, they get the levels and you record. So I ran through the song and I said, okay, I'm ready to go. And he goes, no. And what do you mean, no? He goes, that was a take. I go, what do you mean that was a take? He says, that was a take. And sure enough, because I know my voice, I'm not a pro singer like Mimi. I know what I can and can't do. So when I listened back through to that, there was so much pain and loss and whatever. I go, I can't do it any better than that. So it made it into the movie, made it into the end credits, and I still have a relationship with them. They're considering one of my Christmas songs right now for another of their Christmas movies. But it was that connection, and even though I didn't meet somebody like in person, the fact that I showed up as somebody who was kind, considerate, had my ducks in a row, made all the difference. So remember that.
I have a singer story to contribute to that. My friend had invited me out one night. She said, "There's this band and they're so much fun. You should come." I was like, okay. I wasn't even really singing that much at that point in time. I had done a little bit of like cover gigs here and there. And I mean, this is like, 15 years ago. And so I went out because she was friends with the band. They threw me up on stage and I sang like Ain't Nobody or something. And, the crowd was really lively that night. So fast forward like 10 years later, COVID happens. I'm like, I don't even know if I'm going to be singing anymore. Like, I don't have my regular job. I had done some piano bar. I'm like, whatever, maybe this is it. I get a call from the guy that was at that gig 10 years prior and is like, I need a singer for basically this corporate agency, a lawn artist, for my band. Like, do you have a set list? I'm like, well, yeah, I do. And he's like, you can't imagine how many singers I've talked to who don't have a set list. Like, they know about 3 or 4 ballads. He's like, there's a lot of great singers out there, but they don't have a list of songs. He's like, you're hired. I was like, oh, okay. So then that was kind of my opening into doing like corporate gigs. And I was like, this is way easier than sitting at a piano bar and like learning thousands of songs on singing and piano. I just would stand on stage, look pretty. They would put me in a dress and I sang about 5 songs. I get flown out, hotel, flown back. And I'm like, this is like great, So that floated me like right out of COVID. But that just also, I would like to say that as a singer, especially if you're going into the more live singing, it's really important to have a set list to develop. You can focus on one style if that's really your thing and that can be your niche, but also versatility. If you know rock, pop, R&B, alternative, rap. I rap sometimes. I do Cardi B. I do, but so it's good to have a nice long set list.
I think you all hit on it that connections and networking are extremely important, and to always be prepared because you just never know what situation's going to come up now or you said 3 years ago, because they do come up if they remember. And it is always how you present yourself, and it is about being professional and being courteous to everybody that you meet and thanking them for what they can do. And I think that's great advice that all of you have given. How many, because you've done so much and you have a lot of successes, has there been any real disappointments? Because I know we go through all those as well. And in fact, too many. But, you get great expectations to be able to work with somebody or do a song or record, and then all of a sudden the floor drops out from you and it's gone. So how many disappointments have you had?
Yeah, that happens all the time. I mean, in this industry, like nothing is actually guaranteed. You talk with a filmmaker and you say, oh, we want to use your song in a thing, and then it doesn't happen. That's normal, and that's something that you just have to expect in this industry. So they'll say that they like it, and then they'll put it in the thing and they like it, but then they change their mind later. So Mark and I have dealt with that all our lives, and you just accept it. So that's why it's good to have many irons on the fire. If you're like, oh, I'm working on this film, don't put all your hopes on that. Get like 3 or 4 other projects going at the same time. So this is not an easy lifestyle. So you have to have a lot of irons on the fire, and don't get upset if it doesn't happen. Just keep going, because they will like it and then they'll change their mind. Mark and I have dealt with other moments where you score a film and you worked on that opening scene, you go to the screening and then he took the music and put it somewhere else, and it'll just crush your heart. But anyway, that's normal in this industry. You just have to deal with that, but don't let it bother you. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to speak to the ladies, even though I'm sure some men go through this situation, particularly with just get out there and network. I agree, but it is treacherous, okay? Especially being a female and being young.
Very attractive.
Oh, you don't even have to be attractive, I'll tell you. But yes, I mean, so many times I have so much unfinished music because the goalpost changes, or you get into somebody's studio. I mean, there was this one producer, I'm not going to even say he had pretty, credits and everything. Whoever powers that may be, I'm saying that wrong, but they saved me. They gave me strep throat. And so I got on the phone and this producer starts talking about all these things that he can do to me, and he can move water and do all this. I was like, okay, thank God for the strep throat, because now I'm never coming to your studio. So there's a lot of like, oh, this person, that person, especially even if they have all these, their credits and they're amazing. And then all of a sudden it's like, they don't really have a real interest in you as a singer. They're seeing what they can kind of get from you and lead you along and down. So I, especially in my 20s, early 30s, that was a bigger issue, I'd say, for me. And it made me feel very lost at times. But now I just follow more of the work, and I have a stronger boundary system, and I'm not as young and green as I was. So if you can stick with it and just be very, very discerning and protective of yourself, you have to protect yourself. Then just keep walking your path and don't let it discourage you.
Well, the other thing too is that persistence does pay. It just is not going to always come out the way you thought it should or that you wanted it to. So my mentor told me a story that she had been after this music supervisor, but sending him songs for 35 years.
Wow.
And after 35 years, he licensed one of her songs. So I have made so many contents, and I want to say, here's the thing. Look at the hair on my head. What you're going to get is going to be like one strand. So meanwhile, you've got to go through all these other hairs, all these other possibilities. It's like you've got this huge funnel where you've got 5 million marbles. One's going to come out. You're not sure which one it's going to be or when and how. But you have to kind of keep, your attitude is everything. I can't tell you. Right now, I am in touch with several really high up producers, but the thing that they always say about me is they say, I can count on you, your stuff is great. And I got something from one guy recently. I've been trying for like 5 or so years, and he's like, I so admire you. You are always there, and we are going to work together once the right thing happens. And so you have to always keep your attitude of, thank you for considering my songs. So I feel like the right thing is going to happen, but I've had so many disappointments, and the whole thing is you've got to keep your attitude in check. So one instance is there's a song of mine right now called The Price for Freedom. I did it for a movie by the same title 2 or 3 years ago, and the guy was like, okay, you're going to be in. I was like, great. Then they ran out of money. So then, okay, fine. I kind of said, that's all right. I moved on, got the song license somewhere else. Well, now he's coming back. They're going to, he's telling me they're going to license it. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. If I get in this movie, it's one of those things that could be up for an Academy Award. It's that big of a movie. But at this point, it was kind of like it was a disappointment to not have it happen. I don't know if it's going to happen down the line or not. But whatever the disappointment is, you got to keep going. You got to keep your attitude in check, because you don't know that guy's going to turn around. He's going to have another movie, another thing. In fact, my first movie was a Christmas movie. I was trying. I didn't get that one, but he liked me. And so the next one, I got it. So just keep the lines of communication open, even when you have the devastating, rejection. Just know that, okay, that's fine. We'll go for the next one.
Let me ask you two ladies. Adonis, you can jump in as you wish as well, because it contains about our industry. We know this is for many, many years a very male-dominated industry. We know when we look at history, probably the 40s, 50s, rhythm and blues was really the first part where women started to get recognized. When we had, the Ella Fitzgeralds, the Dinah Washington, Sarah Vaughns were all coming up, and it gave the opportunity for women singers. And through time, we now know like people like Carol Kay, bass player, and some of the groups that came with the Supremes and all that. I read recently today that music producers, 3% are women, which is unbelievable to me to see this when there are so many opportunities out there. What do you see, or what would you suggest for all the women in here that want to be in this industry, because it is so male dominated? And there's a lot of talented female producers that I've heard, Shanti being one of them. They do fantastic work, but there's still this roadblock from many, many years ago in being male, oriented. So, and I know Adonis has gone through, because he works with so many people as well and sees it as well. So definitely what Adonis thinks is important too. But being females, what do you guys?
Well, I think it's a really great time to be a female producer, because here's the thing is, I love studios like this, but let's face it, most of the things that are happening these days are happening through a computer. And if you, as a woman, have the technical tools and you're good at what you do, you can take control. Because that's the main thing. It's like you said, the men have had the control. But you can see, I'm a tech-tard, I'm bad, I'm the I'm the worst one in the world. But if I could go back and be a 20-something now, I would say, learn that logic, learn those Pro Tools, learn how to put things together. There again, Michelle Weiss-Maslin, my mentor, she's one of that 3% producers. And because she's had control over everything and does the business and the creative side, she's done extremely well. So I think this actually is the best time for women to take control, because you actually can do it.
Yeah, I think you're always kind of circling back to what I said before. You're going to always have a lot of roadblocks trying to deal with men in a male dominated industry. But I would also say that sometimes it actually is an advantage, because then you're kind of like a unicorn. And so, yes, like knowing a lot of the technical stuff can set you apart. Also, actually playing an instrument has set me apart. The fact that I can play piano and sing. In piano bar, if you're a woman piano bar player, you are definitely a unicorn. And so people are going to pretty much hire you because, yes, actually, I want a woman on stage. I have just started doing solo gigs where I just sing and play piano, and I can book myself without needing anybody else. So I have more autonomy and more creative control, purely because I play an instrument while everybody's rushing to learn this, computer stuff. Actually being able to play an instrument and sing is becoming more of like this unicorn thing. So I would say there's not really one way, ever. But if you just keep putting one foot in front of the other, you don't know how things are going to change. Female DJs got really popular all of a sudden. So there was like, if you were a female and you DJ'd, you were going to get booked, so it's, there's no way to predict which way something is going to go. But I think the more skills that you develop, then the more likely, the more autonomous you become in your art, then the more opportunity you're going to have.
One thing I wanted to add, something that's been happening in the last 10 years now, the music supervision world has been taken over by women. The top music supervisors now are mostly women. There's Robin Erdang, Jen Malone, Libby Behar, Sammy Posner. They have taken over, and they've taken over the Guild of Music Supervisors. And since that has happened, things have changed a lot for, all females in this industry. So it is actually changing. It is. But more importantly, as Mimi said, not only learn an instrument, but learn how to use a program like Ableton or Pro Tools, Logic, even on your little laptop. Just learn how to do it so you can bang out songs in your apartment. You don't have to rely on anybody else. So just be self-sufficient as possible So you don't have to rely on anybody else, and you don't have to take anyone else's crap.
That's exactly right. But it's good to see that that is changing. And I like the fact when you talk about playing instruments, because so much as now is getting into more of the digital, and you can't just sit at home and do whatever you have, and the art of playing an instrument seems like it's more and more disappearing. But to me, there's still nothing better than being able to play an instrument, because it teaches a person a lot to be responsible and be dedicated, that if you want to be in this business, you have to work at it. How many hours a week do you put into your work, your careers? I know it's not 8 to 5, so don't try to throw that at me.
Used to be a lot more when I was younger. Now it's just whenever I need to now. But that's only because I'm old and lazy now.
Well, I know you're getting close to 90, so I guess.
But if you're young, I mean, I used to play all day. That's all I did.
What'd you play?
I play guitar and piano and I sing, but I used to play all day, so.
Who are your influences?
Well, I had older brothers when I was a kid. So when I was 5 years old, I was listening to like Led Zeppelin and like Black Sabbath and all this stuff. So I had older brothers, and they were listening to all this stuff. So I was already all Stones, Beatles, everything, Pink Floyd. That was my thing. Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh man, I mean, yeah, I'm kind of already in the jaded category with that too. But I would say, I mean, for me to really like develop, a nice solid set, and when I was really learning how to play and sing at the same time, I was practicing about 3 hours a day, almost every day. And I would love to get back to that point. I feel once I started working a lot, especially traveling to work, the type of work that I do has changed. It's not like I don't necessarily always have the luxury to just sit at the piano and sing for 3 hours. A lot of it is packing, emailing, getting my makeup and my hair done, making sure that I'm, just ready for the gig and all the logistical stuff that is involved with being a singer. I don't even promote myself online, really. I mean, that's a whole other, I have a booker and he sends my videos to clients specifically. So, but I think I've been avoiding that because I'm like, that's a whole other chunk of time that I have to allocate. So, I would say definitely starting off, focus on the craft and never lose sight of the craft. But then as you start working, there's going to be a lot more time that you have to allocate to other things.
Yeah, and that's really true. I mean, like I said, I had all those years, independent artist. I would spend maybe, a couple hours a day writing songs, doing this, doing that. At this point, like I said, I discovered the sync thing, but I spend the majority of my time these days admin. And when I say admin, I'm making cold calls, cold emails, following up. It's endless. There's a whole thing to it. But at this point in my life, because I'm older than both of you, I think, I feel like I have to make hay while the sun shines. I know I'm a solid writer, and I can kick things out pretty quickly. And so that's what I'm at this point in my life, and I'm doing. So I am really dedicating the majority admin, because I say, it's out there. I will not be happy until I know what I can do to promote my songs. I've got a lot of songs. I got some great songs, and it's only going to take one really good one to maybe get me to the next point. So, like I said, as far as my creative stuff, I am not doing as much creative as I would like, but then I'm faster because I'm more experienced. So, yeah. So most of my time these days is admin, trying to get things going on.
Adonis mentioned collaborations. I remember back in, I'm not as old as you are, Adonis, but way back when, having a band, you kind of did your own stuff. You either wrote, you kind of managed yourself, you kind of try to put advertising out for yourself back then. Today, so much has that changed. I know Adonis collaborates with Mark in songwriting and original music. How many are you guys working on any type of collaborations? I know Mimi mentioned a booker, but are any that you write songs with other people, or do you write original music, or do you have other bandmates that you work with to help market what you do? Because not all of us can market. There's so many things out there today that there's people that do the specialty work or do that, attorneys and management. And so do you have any of those type of collaborations?
I have written some original music. I am not very good at putting it out. I have collaborated with other people on their original music. But that, honestly, that hasn't really been paying my bills. So my specialty went more into performing live and session work. So yeah, it's not something that I'm not ever going to do. It's just something that hadn't really unfolded for me in that way. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, I have to say that I have collaborated with all three of the people here in this room. So for me, it's usually about the project, right? So like I had this thing come up. Adonis had a movie, wedding song. So I said, we need to redo it. So I redid that with him. And then there was a song that I had called Knock on the Door, and Mimi had sung that, because the thing that I love about Mimi and her voice is not only does she have the chops, but she has the conviction, because it's always important that you cast your singer for the song. So Knock on the Door needed the conviction, and we recorded it at one studio, but the quality was not where it needed to be. So then we bring in Mark Roos, because Mark has a much more contemporary ear and stuff, and he was able to come in. We re-recorded the song, we recut it, and it came out great. I don't know if we have time to play any of it or not. But the thing is, sometimes it's like something's going in one direction, but it's not working. And you got to stop, you got to regroup. And so I've been fortunate to work with all three of the people here, but, on different capacities.
I know that way back, the idea was to write a song, and you definitely try to go through an attorney to get to a label to get your music distributed. Today, we now have Spotify and TuneCore and all those things to put your music on. You guys use all those as well. And I know money is not that great on any of these things. So if any of our audience is writing songs, what advice would you give them to try to do something on the publishing end?
Are you asking about actually putting songs out there on Spotify and iTunes and all that?
Yeah, or do you try to find an attorney and try to get them? I'm sure you can go to film and TV where you can really make money, where Spotify you're making pennies. So if I wrote a song, what advice would you give me if I wanted my music out there?
Yeah, just actually putting songs on Spotify, you don't really need, like an attorney for that. Anyone can do that. I think like an attorney or any legal stuff will come along when it comes down to sync licensing.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, sync licensing is when you place a song into film and television. It's called synchronization licensing, because it synchronizes with the film. That's why. Yeah, because it synchronizes with the time. So it just became a thing, sync licensing. Mm-hmm. So yeah. So that's when you need a lawyer. Mm-hmm. But just, putting songs on Spotify, anyone can do that. You don't really need a lawyer for that. But when it comes down to film and television, yeah, it's better to make sure that, if there's an agreement, have a lawyer look at it. Yeah.
So we actually have the song Knock on the Door that we could play. We have it's like a minute, I think, that we put on. Do you want to go ahead and play that? And so this is...
I wrote the song, Mark did the production, Mimi sang it.
Mm-hmm.
Knock on the door till somebody answers. Knock on the door till somebody cares. Knock on the door until you get lucky. Knock on the door. Knock on the door when it slams in your face. Knock on the door, don't be losing your faith. Knock on the door until it flies open. Knock on the door. Pound that pavement black and blue till the moment comes and you break through. Once that spotlight shines on you, you will open the door. Show no weakness, show no fear. Keep your vision strong, your conscience clear. Believe in miracles appear. You will open the door. answers. Knock on the door till somebody cares. Knock on the door until you get lucky. Knock on the door. Knock on the door when it slams in your face. Knock on the door, don't be losing your faith. Knock on the door until it flies open. Knock on the door. The path of opportunity will chew you up and set you free. Gotta keep on pushing endlessly to open the door. Own the hustle in your blood, keep the dream alive. Keep giving the love, don't give up on you because you will open the door. Your psychic chemistry to the point where you embrace and see who you really are. The power is inside of you, but it's so difficult to view because all your life people telling you you're not good enough, not good enough.
That was just me. There again, as the writer, it's your voice. I mean, knock on the door is me 500%. Because that's what I'm doing all the time. I'm going, come on now, come on, But so that song wasn't written for a brief. It was written. It's like I said, I want to do this, and then I had to put the elements together to make it work. So I started off one way, and I go, it's not working, Shakeh, start over. Yeah. So, but I'm really happy and proud of this. So thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mimi.
Do you want to maybe talk a little bit about our collaboration with what you can talk about with Disney? And then it's the track that says Marking It on it.
Yeah, so I receive a lot of briefs all the time, and like a brief is when a music supervisor sends out a message saying we need this music for this and this. It's called a brief because they basically briefly explain what they need. So the term became a brief. So we get them all the time, and then Mark and I work on it. Shakeh, we've done stuff. So we recently got one for Disney. Apparently they're going to be working on Black Panther 3. And so they needed some music, and they needed some background African sort of like a musical bed, which is basically just the basic background without any vocals or anything, because they're going to play around with it onto picture and maybe add vocals. So Mark and I mess with some ideas, and I think we got one of them here.
We do. We have one.
So so this is just an example.
It's a little bit different in that the brief was very, very specific, and that it had to be able to have all of the musical elements to be able to stand on its own, but with the idea that a vocalist could come in over the top of it, who we still don't know if they're going to do that, and be able to sing over this.
Yeah.
Now the piece is actually started out at 5 minutes long. We took it down to 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I think we have 1 minute and 9 seconds of this.
Yeah.
So.
It's basically underscore, which is basically instrumental music, which is used a lot in films. So and then sometimes they add vocals on it. So it's just that sort of a thing. And that's the sort of information we get all the time. So Mark and I do that all the time. Yeah.
That's great. Well, why don't we, at this point, does anybody have any questions for any of our panelists?
Knock on the door? Okay. So I'm always curious about when songs are written. So did you write the song with lyrics, or just come up with the actual tunes first and then put the lyrics? How did you approach it?
I tend to I think of myself mainly as a melody person. but lots of times I just get an idea in my head, and I like with this particular song, I just went in and I was just singing it off the top of my head. I had no chords to it or whatever. I just knew. I pride myself on the fact that I'm going to give the producer something, the skeleton that's going to be solid. You can take this to the bank. You can take this home. This is going to stand all by itself. So for that one, I actually kind of got the idea. It was in my mind. The lyric and the melody came pretty much right away. So, yeah. Thanks.
Okay, I have a few, if that's okay. But for Mimi, so do you have like a booking agent? Is that how you find like your gigs?
Yes, I have a booking agent, and it happened very organically. So Shakeh has that personality that's just like, boom. I mean, I'm knocking on the door. I don't have that personality. I'm like, oh, you're going to go. Is someone going to knock on my door? I don't recommend that. Okay. But what really happened with me was just that, especially with doing piano bar for like 4 years solid, I had worked with enough musicians that people started recommending me for other things. And so basically when I got my booking agent, it was like right after COVID, and he called me. I had a number of booking agents calling me, actually. So that's a organic way for someone who maybe is a little bit more shy, but obviously you still have to get in the door with, working with people and having a network in order for people to recommend you to begin with.
Right. So do you think like they had found you at some other like performance that you were doing at the time?
If they had found me?
Yeah.
You know what? I don't think that's impossible to happen. I have had like been approached by people while I'm performing, like, oh, like you'd be great for this or that. Those things usually don't materialize. It usually materializes when somebody that you've worked with closely can vouch for your work. I feel like that's a stronger referral than someone sees you on stage somewhere. Not that it's impossible, but the majority of my work has come from actually working with people. That one story where that guy, saw me 10 years, and that doesn't necessarily happen a whole lot, but I was still prepared when he came and asked me for that next gig. So yeah, that would be my best answer for that.
Okay. And also for Adonis, so since you're a music supervisor, I know for that you need to know like a lot of music, especially like if you're looking for stuff for specifically television. So what would be like your process in order to like find something and then get all the licenses to put it onto TV?
Finding like any like music supervisor, you mean, or
like just like your process, or like where you find music and then.
Oh, how I find music.
Yeah.
Right. So it's more based on something. It'll be based on what I'm working on, basically. So if I'm working on a film, a music supervisor is really only interested at that. They're not really looking for anything else. That's why they don't like it when they have someone just randomly send them songs. They are not interested in that because they are listening to songs all day. A lot of them are extremely busy. A lot of them have kids and they got to go pick up their kid after school and do all this stuff. The last thing that they want to do is listen to like 14 songs. So the process is, I'm working on this film. I need this specific like sort of song. So like the thing that me and Mark did, it was for Black Panther. We needed African musical _. That's all I'm looking for. So then I will send out a blast saying, I need this. And I'll send it out to all my contacts. Yeah.
So now that you like brought up like, I guess like a movie project that you've done, is there like usually some like a specific genre of film that like you gravitates towards, or is it just like you keep things open for yourself?
I mean, is there like a specific genre like I mean like I would, that like I'm always interested in?
Yeah.
I mean, for me personally, I mean, I like many genres, I like all sorts of stuff. I listen to pop and rock. I like soundtrack music. Yeah. But again, when it comes down to like the work, it's what I need at that moment. If I need jazz, I just need jazz at that point. So yeah, and that's where we were talking earlier about actually collaborations are very, very important, because if someone asks you for something and you're not really good at it, find someone who is, and just work with them, and that's something that me and Mark do all the time. That's like our little con. We if someone like hip hop is not really my strong point. So I know a lot of like hip hop guys. So never say no, I don't do that. Don't just say yes, I can do anything, and then call someone who knows how to do it, and then and then like share the job with them. So don't ever say no, I don't know how to do that. It makes you look lame.
Well, and to that point, sometimes you can change people's mind to want what you got. And now, not necessarily in an annoying way, but like, she asked me for that song, do you rap? And I was like, well, I do, but I'm not sure if I know how to rap this. Like I can maybe rap something if I've heard it, but like, well, I'm not exactly sure where to go with this. And so then it didn't end up really even being a rap. It kind of ended up being a little more like spoken word. And we just worked with, we just kept taking takes until it worked. So, sometimes you might not be exactly what they're looking for. When I got that Disney job, I remember they said, we want 5'7", and I was like, I'm 5'3". They're not going to cast me. I went anyway, and I got cast. And, so sometimes you don't always get too distracted or too discouraged by specifics, because you might show them something that they didn't know they wanted, and now you're it.
Adonis, could you maybe clarify what a music supervisor does, what a music producer does, just kind of the behind-the-scenes non-performer roles?
So a music supervisor simply finds songs for films. So he or she will find the songs that are needed for the film and handles all the licensing agreements. So I need this song for this scene in a bar. I have to call the label, call the artist, and get approval, and I can do all the paperwork. A music producer records the song, arranges it, and puts it out there. So they're two very different jobs. They can be intertwined, but they're mostly kind of a different thing. So, yeah.
Do you think that people gravitating to those kinds of roles are performers or past performers, or is it a little bit more of a business kind of approach?
It's actually interesting that you asked that, because for a long time it was only people in business, but now a lot of people on the creative side are doing those jobs now, because they're realizing, hey, I write music, I can be a music supervisor and choose my music. So a lot of them, it's all intertwined now. Everybody I know writes music. Everybody does it. Everybody in the business writes the music. They're all intertwined now. We're all doing everything. Yeah. I know music supervisors who write songs too. And they also produce, So, but the specific job is more like this. And like so like a supervisor does this and a producer does that. So. And also being a supervisor is a bit more administrative. It's a bit more of an administrative job. It's a lot of paperwork. You have to get approval, get everyone to sign the agreement. Whereas a producer, you're in the studio. It's much more creative. A supervisor is more administrative work. Yeah.
Where does AI fit into all this stuff? I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
Go
I
ahead.
had one here.
Okay, go ahead.
Thanks. I'm just interested in hearing what you, all three of you, would have to say about being able to have like a diverse skill set versus being really specialized on one thing. Because I know, Shakeh, you seem very honed in on this like retro Christmas, and that seems to be working really well. But then Mimi, you're saying you do all sorts of stuff. And then Adonis, it sounds like you do several different things. So what would you say, like, to those of us who do a lot? Should we hone in on one thing and be specialized, or should we lean into doing a little bit of everything?
So the thing about doing the retro Christmas thing is that's what's gotten my foot in the door. So once my foot is in the door, like I said, for the company in the UK, I did the Frankenstein song. I did these other songs. So a lot of times when you're dealing with somebody, now, if I have something that I just have like one song for and I just want to go in there that way, but it's nice to be able to have something that they can come to you for. They know, oh, you know, she's really good with this. And then once, like I said, once I get my foot in the door, then I start doing the other things. So that's kind of where I've been at with that.
Boy, that's a loaded question because I don't really know how to answer like dead on. I don't necessarily think there's a wrong way. I think for specifically a lot of the work that I have done, which is like corporate gigs, the fact that I am versatile has been a big plus because I can go from singing AC/DC to singing Whitney Houston to singing Alanis Morissette. So, you know, and various country, whatever. I still sing it in my way, like with my tone, but I have a lot of tools just from being a singer that I can apply to those specific songs. It also helps, as I being a session singer, because you get in that room and then they're like, can you do it a little bit more this way? Can you do it that way? And so, yes, in that regard, I say if you have the skill set to have a wide range, use it, work with it. On the other side, I do feel that, you know, maybe not honing in really tightly on one genre, one style, one look, whatever, has maybe prevented me from being a little bit more niche and more, you know, come to for a specific thing. I think there's benefits of that as well, because then you kind of claim like, this is what I'm good at. I have seen some corporate singers where I think probably all they really do is like soul. So in that regard, I think if there's something that if there's a genre that you're really good at or you're just naturally really drawn to, I don't think there's anything wrong in leaning into that, especially for original music. You know, and that gets into branding, which I'm not an expert at. I'm not going to even go into, but there is market for both, and sometimes it can be a little daunting trying to sing every style, but you know, years and years and years of singing live, my voice has expanded, so it's something that I have been able to do.
Yeah, that's right. I think it's fine either way. I think it's better if you're more versatile and you're able to do multiple genres. You will find more work, especially in film and television advertising. And as I said, even if you're not good, find somebody who is good, get them to help you. So that's the important thing. It doesn't matter if you don't know how to do it. Just find someone who does. So don't worry about that. You're like, oh, I don't do just find someone who does it. And you will find someone. So it's fun. I think it's better if you're more, you know, actually diverse. However, as she said, if you're really good at one thing, just kick ass at it and just be really good, and that'll be your thing, and you'll be known for that. You know, I mean, I used to work with a label called Nacional. It was a Latin hip hop label, and I was like, these guys are not going to make any money. They were pulling in $1 million a year because they focused on that market. And they went to the Spanish channels, you know, the whole Latin market, and they were pulling in $1 million a year. So it's fine. As she said, it's fine. It doesn't matter. Just be really good at it. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Well, I'll withdraw my question so Phoebe can ask it.
Oh, yeah. So I think we're talking about the same thing. I was very curious, especially to Adonis, about the role of AI and how that's sitting in the industry.
Yeah, we've been talking about that a lot over at the Guild of Music Supervisors. So have you all messed around with Suno?
Yes.
Okay, so you all know what it's capable of. It's amazing. Yes. I mean, it's amazing. So right now, you don't have anything to worry about because filmmakers, music supervisors do not want to use AI music. They cannot, because it's a legal nightmare. They cannot use it. So it's not going to be a threat to that. In that realm, it won't be. Will they find a loophole in the future and get around it? Maybe. But for now, we're okay, because they cannot use it. because, again, it's a legal nightmare and they're afraid of it. So you don't have to be worried about it in that sense. What'll happen in the future, I really don't know. So I can't speak to 5 years from now. But right now, I've messed around with it. I'm very impressed with it. I like to use it as a tool sometimes. But yeah, it's not original. It's stealing others. It's stealing other music. So it's not original. So when you hear an AI song, that melody was actually taken from someone somewhere. So right now it's not a threat. Not now. Yeah.
We have about 15 minutes left, so why don't we close with some final thoughts from each of you?
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, I still want to stress to you guys, the more things you can do, the better off you are. The more options you give yourself, the more possibilities you have. The hardest thing in the world is to stay detached from the results, because you're sitting there going, come on, this, and then it doesn't happen. It's like more and more. It's like I throw it out. Thank you. There's two pieces of advice that I almost daily say to myself. First of all, it's not a sprint. It's a marathon. You got to settle in. Okay, I'm going to go. I'm going to do this, and that's it. And also, only the yeses count. So whatever you don't get, rather than go, oh gosh, I'm such a loser, I'm this and that, you go, okay, I didn't get it. This whole thing has been a huge test of my feeling of my self-worth, of my feeling of the worth of my music. And the thing that always brings me back is the fact that, because there are lots of ways to go, putting your songs into sync libraries and stuff like that, but I'm always like, God helps those who help themselves. God did not put me on this earth to be a failure, and I know nobody's going to work these songs as hard as me. Now, if I was a 20-something, it'd probably be different. But at my point, I'm going, nobody's going to take you seriously, nobody's going to this, nobody's that. But I believe in what I'm doing, and that's the main thing. I believe in what I'm doing. I know there's a home for these things. And because another piece of advice they gave in the sync classes, they said, you're going to have to make 200 calls to get one placement. So everybody else in the room is going, oh my God, 200 calls. I'm going, 200 calls and I get something? I win? I get to win? Because you got to realize, like I said, I was an independent artist out there, put out 6 CDs, throw the guitar in the car, all these years, boom, 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 boom. I didn't feel like I got anything. So when I started getting those placements, I'm going, okay, I know that I can do this. So that's the main thing, is that to keep the faith in yourself. Just go, it's all right if I didn't get this, because something else is going to happen for me. Like I said, it's a huge test of your mettle, but I know that I'm writing better than I ever have, and I'm excited about the future. So I want to just say to you guys, go for it. Go for it, and however you get there, you get there, but don't quit on yourself. Don't quit on your music.
That was powerful. Do we have time to listen to my clip? Because it's actually in line with what she's saying right now, and in line with what I'm probably going to say. So this is
Mimi?
How original.
This is actually an original. So this is something that I worked on. I wrote.
Is it the,
I co-produced.
the one that I heard?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So when I heard her voice on this song, that's when I was like, oh, it has to be Mimi.
Thank you. Thank you. It's called Fearless.
Yeah.
Back from the fast track, take a deep breath. Setbacks ain't your last chance, just a reset. You must fight for your destiny, not survival for eternity. Couldn't care less if I ever cared then. Couldn't care less what happened way back when. I keep knocking till I'm in. I keep rocking till the end. Give a fuck about if they pushed ahead. Give a fuck about what y'all ever said. I ain't stopping till I'm dead. I ain't dropping till I'm dead. I'm fearless, yeah. I'm fearless.
So, yeah, that song was inspired because it can be very, very trying. Putting yourself out there, being vulnerable, letting people hear you, people's many, 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 many opinions about you. When you're a performer, people think it's okay to say whatever they want to you. They project a lot of their fears onto you. People that are invested, people that are close to you, your friends, your family, your mentors, people may be very, very discouraging. And if you listen to everybody, you're just going to get told. If you're a sensitive person like I am, a lot of artists are, you're just going to get knocked around inside. And you have to have a lot of discernment about who's saying what. And you have to understand that, you're a work in progress. And I'm not going to just say, don't listen to anybody, because some people that have your best interest in mind and that know what they're talking about, please listen to them. But having the discernment to know, because some people can be very, very dismissive, and some people don't even know what they're talking about. And there's been so many times that I have almost given up. I lost my voice. You went through COVID. I just lost my home in the fire a year and a half ago. So, I've had a lot of stop and goes. And every time I think I might never sing again, or nothing's ever going to happen again. And I just had to sit with the uncomfortability of it and keep trying and keep trying. One little other thing I'm going to add on to it, as I was hearing that the vocal, is that being a singer is also about vocal health and about, your sleep, hydration, what you eat. We were talking about that outside. You are a vocal athlete. And if you use your voice professionally and consistently, you have to treat yourself as such. And sometimes that sucks. I just want to go out and I want to yell and I want to do everything that everyone else does. And I might get pressure from other people. Oh, you can't come to the party. Oh, you can't come. Like, no, I can't. This is my livelihood. And if you love me and appreciate what I'm doing, then you will be in support of me. So it takes a lot of strength, a lot of boundaries, a lot of fearlessness. And, but it's not impossible. You just keep going and things get better. If you really put the work into it, things will unfold for you. So, there you go.
Yeah, and as I said earlier, for me, the most effective thing I've had has been basically networking. Just make sure you're out there meeting everyone. That's where I've gotten all of my work. Most of it is just networking. Go out as much as you possibly can to events. It's all who you know, especially here in LA. It's all like who you know and nepotism, and you just got to know everyone. If you know people, you will find work. I consider myself, and I'm going to be honest here, I consider myself to be a good composer. Am I the best? No, I'm not. But I get work because I network. So, yeah.
Well, great. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate you spending your time and sharing your expertise and wisdom.